You probably don't need a sales team. And if you've got one, maybe you never did need a sales team. I'm James Schramko. This is episode 1114. And today I want to share with you my thoughts on sales team versus no sales team. Partly inspired by an email I received recently. Someone who used to have a big sales team let them all go. And they started selling with a simple Google Doc, which is the no sales call, no closer, no Zoom style of selling. And this is one that I'm familiar with. The Google Doc thing is not new. It's been around for a long time. There are a number of coaches teaching this for at least 10 years. And it makes me wonder, how did things get out of hand to the point where you need to build a large team of almost a dozen salespeople? But we're going to break that down in this episode. How could a simple document, a strong offer, and perhaps a deadline compete with having a full-blown sales team? And this is particularly interesting to me because I used to run sales teams. In the automotive industry, I was a salesperson. I got promoted to sales manager. I became a general sales manager. And in the course of that role, I built out a team of 21 in the sales department, direct selling. And when I came online, I really didn't want to have a sales team. In fact, I didn't want to have a physical premises. I didn't want to have staff, and I didn't want to have a sales team, and I didn't want to have stock. Now, I've conceded on the staff part, and I'll explain where a team fits into it in a moment, but I still don't have a salesperson in my business. The wild part is it's really worked for me, and it's outperformed the need to have a team. And some people are really surprised by it, but I'm certainly not, because I've been doing this for over 15 years. So I'm about to show you why I think sales team often hide bigger problems, perhaps a smarter, quieter way to sell, and how to build a business that sells without you needing to be on the phone. Because you don't need to burn time on calls, you don't need to manage a bunch of closes, and you definitely don't need to scale chaos just to hit big, impressive, ego-driven numbers. Let's talk about building lean, profitable systems that don't break your lifestyle. And this also is something I'm really familiar with lately because I've had 2 mentor clients in a row who came to me convinced they had to do strategy calls. And both of them were able to stop doing strategy calls. I mean, they can do them if they want, optional, but generally they're decision-making calls. So let's just wind the clock back. In about 2009, my first full year after quitting my job in 2008, I launched my membership. I didn't have sales calls. I didn't have webinars. I didn't have a team, just a simple offer page and a few emails. And it sold consistently. That membership has survived in various forms to this day. It's now referred to as KLEQ, and you'll probably find it on my products page. You can start coaching with me for $10 for 10 days, by the way. I just thought I'd mention that. And that's important because this is the new way to sell. So the method still works. The tech has changed a little bit, but the principle hasn't really changed. In fact, on the tech side, it's simplified. When I first started, I was working in partnership with an affiliate marketer, and he was a little bit more technical than me, and he helped set up all the automations. Later on, I got some special software that does deadlines and all of that stuff. These days, I just have a landing page and an opt-in form and an email system. So very few tools required. The platform I'm using is called KLEQ, K-L-E-Q. It does do all the deadlines that the other software did if you want to use that. It does do webinars or automated webinars if you want to do that. I don't use those features for now. And I'm hooked up my email system to Ontraport. So if your offer is clear, your audience trusts you, and your delivery is solid, you don't need to talk to every single prospect. If you fast forward to now, I think a lot of coaches are discovering this as if it's a new thing. But I mean, this guy who recently benched his entire sales team for 3 months and went to the no-call system with just a doc and a deadline is still hitting the same numbers. So it's proof that it's worked, and it's always worked. So what causes someone to go and build out a massive team, especially if coaches are generally reasonably good, hopefully, at coaching? They're generally quite good at marketing, and they often suck at operations, systems, and finances. So what really works? It's not magic. It's just clarity, simplicity, removing friction. If you go to jamesschramko.com, you will see my offer on the homepage of my website. I'm not joking when I say this is the simplest my business has ever been. People go to my website, it says exactly what I do on the homepage, and they can either buy or send me an email. But here's what no one tells you. You don't get to that point unless your offer is sharp and easy to understand and your system is tight. So most people are really bolting on some sales team because they've skipped the foundational work and they're trying to get some magical unicorn closer to perform 50 tricky manipulative word phrases to convince people to buy. And I'm sure you've experienced that type of salesperson. That type of salesperson is not a pleasant salesperson to have an experience with. They're trying to compensate for a weak message or an unclear result or a clunky buyer journey. But even worse, it actually makes the business into something horrible. You've turned yourself into a sales manager. And my experience is most people who are coaches or consultants shouldn't be sales managers. Your sales team, if you have one, should amplify and not rescue your offer. If you need closers to explain your value, instead perhaps go and have a look at your offer and see if it conveys value. Every single sales call is actually friction. You're filtering out your best buyers, the ones who didn't want to talk but still want to buy. And there are so many people like that. I think this is in part why the internet became so popular for buying things, because they did some research. When I was at the car dealership, they said that someone walking into a car dealership experiences the same level of anxiety as if they are visiting a dentist. You know why? Because they're going to find the car salesperson. They got to deal with that guy. Generally a guy. I'm sure there's some girls too. And I used to hire and train girls too. But anyway, my point is the internet has made it easy for people to type text. Some of the less outgoing people don't want to call. In fact, they don't want to book the call because they know they're going to be sold. They're going to be pressured. They're going to be manipulated. They're going to be tricked and psychologically warfared into buying. And then they'll have remorse and they'll hate it and they'll do refunds and they'll spray with bad reviews. Copy can actually scale better than calls, and emails can close hundreds of people. One call can close one person, right? Maybe you can do a group call or a webinar, and there's definitely an argument for that. However, it's still something I don't do. The only webinars I do are with paid clients, and I don't do it because I don't want to be on show. I don't want theatre. I don't want to be an actor. I just want to email genuinely with people who are ready to buy. So people can either buy or engage in an email sequence where they might buy, but it's still hands off. I don't have to book up my schedule. In fact, you know, people who brag about their schedule, they got all these booked calls and people in your inbox saying, oh, I can get you 25 booked calls for the next few days. I'm like, why in the world would I want that? And why would I want to hire all these people? I'm going to pay a big chunk of commission to force, cajole, and manipulate buyers into buying, and then I have to manage them all. So unless you are a sales company, you probably don't need a sales team. If you're going to do that, maybe contract to someone. So systems are better than hustle. Selling through an offer page and email focuses you on simplification, and that's a good thing. I don't know if you're like me, where you don't want your business to be all consuming in your entire identity, but that's what I see people create. I've seen people start off a similar level to me, let's say $1 million a year in the beginning, and gradually I've gone up a little bit and gotten a little bit better as I get on, and my model's gotten more improved. Some of these people go up 5, 10, 15 million, but they're so unhappy and they're working like a dog and they're doing all the stuff they're not even good at. So good business design eliminates the noise. So stop spending your days on all the wrong conversations and the wrong activities. So for me, it's a lifestyle filter, and this is where I think most people get it wrong. Instead of having a lifestyle filter, they chase revenue. They want to brag at the next mastermind. And they go and add team, they add expense, they add complexity. And before long, they're managing a sales team. They're managing general managers of managers and sub-managers. And you got into business for freedom, and now you're buried in meetings, reports, dashboards. The machine's gotten big. There's a lot of expectation. To me, that's not success. That's a trap. So in Work Less, Make More, I talk about leverage over labor. Selling with an offer page and follow-ups, I think that's leverage. It doesn't matter if it's a Google Doc or a web page, but you don't need to do consults. That's my point. This sells while you surf or sleep or spend time with your family. Imagine that. I just got an email from a client of mine, and he had his first Sunday off, and he took his wife and child to the shops on a Sunday, first time in almost 5 years. And he was, he's writing so fast, he spelt it poorly. He was so excited. This was like a revolution. But it was all put there by him in the first place, and we took it away. So lifestyle design isn't a bonus feature. It's the first filter. Anytime someone says, do you want to do this speaking? Do you want to fly to here? Do you want to do a webinar? Do you want to be in this summit? Do you want to come guest present? I can get you 27 leads. I can do this. I just use lifestyle. Will this make my life better or worse? And if it's not going to make it better, no, thank you very much. If the model doesn't give you time, profit, joy, then it's not the right model. So let's bring it home. You probably don't need a sales team. You need a system. You don't need more calls. You need a clear offer. And by the way, let's just look after the people you've already sold better. Because if they're all just coming in and then leaving, then that's really the problem. The churn is the problem, not the sales thing at all. You don't need more hype or tricky-dicky marketing manipulation or adult daycare center to run. You need more clarity. And above all, use lifestyle as your decision-making lens. Now, if you want to work 24/7 and that is your lifestyle, go for it. Go make your 100 million. I'm so happy for you. But if it creates stress or chaos, you don't love it, then don't build it. And if you want help setting this up, a business that runs clean, sells on its own, doesn't chain you to Zoom all day and max out your calendar, that's exactly what I do. I've got Mentor and Connect, and you can find out all about it on my homepage, jamesschramko.com. You don't need copy hype merchants who just figured this out last quarter. You don't need tricky, manipulative salespeople. We've been living this for over a decade. It's simple, it's profitable, it's enjoyable. That's the goal. And it's yours if you want it. I'm James Schramko. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Catch you on the next one.
This is James Schramko.